You know the name, Alexander the Great. It just echoes through history, doesn't it? We hear about him as this military genius, a visionary, a true legend. But if you look a little closer, behind that legend, there's this fierce debate, a question that historians are still wrestling with. Who was this guy really?
So, here's the big question. Was he this great uniter of worlds, spreading civilization and knowledge wherever he went? Or was he a brutal, ruthless tyrant, completely driven by his ego, who just built his empire on the ruins of others? That's the core question we're going to dig into.
So, to even begin to understand this guy, this enigma, we really have to look at the two completely conflicting stories that make up his legacy. You could almost call it the bright myth versus the dark reality.
Okay, so let's start with the first side of the argument, the case for Alexander as this incredible visionary. A guy who did way more than just conquer territory. He literally reshaped the fabric of the world.
Now, the people who argue for this viewpoint, they really focus on three key things. First off, his military genius was just undeniable. The man was undefeated in battle. Second, they point to his role as a spreader of culture, not someone who just forced his own on people. And finally, there's his incredible ambition to create this totally new, blended world, one that would merge the East and the West.
And the result of that vision? Well, it was absolutely profound. It kicked off what we now call the Hellenistic Age. For centuries after he was gone, Greek language, art, and philosophy started mixing with Eastern traditions. It created this incredibly vibrant cultural fusion that, get this, actually laid the groundwork for the Roman Empire, and in a lot of ways, for Western civilization as we know it. So the argument here is this is the legacy of a creator, right? Not just a simple conqueror.
But, of course, there's another side to this coin, a much, much darker interpretation. This is where the hero of our first story, well, he becomes the villain.
So this case against him, it's really built on his personal ambition. We're talking about a boundless ego. An ego so big it led him to declare himself a living god. Then there's the really deep suspicion around the assassination of his own father, King Philip II. How convenient is it that his death cleared the way for Alexander to take the throne? And maybe most damning of all, you just have to look at the trail of brutal, sheer destruction he left behind him.
And that path of destruction, well, it tells a very different story. It all starts in 336 BC, with his father's mysterious death. Then, just 1 year later, he completely razes the city of Thebes, wipes it off the map, and enslaves its people, just as a terrifying warning to anyone else who might think about defying him. And then we get to 330 BC, and what you could call the ultimate act of destruction, the burning of Persepolis, the absolutely magnificent heart of the Persian Empire.
This just reframes everything, doesn't it? Think about it. Was burning Persepolis really some kind of calculated military strategy? Or was it what this side argues, the ultimate flex from a megalomaniac, a symbolic act just to prove that he, and he alone, had the power to literally erase an entire civilization from existence? So where does that leave us? Well, we've got two completely different portraits, right? The brilliant, world-changing unifier and the ruthless, power-hungry egomaniac. And like with pretty much all of history, the real truth is probably not that simple.
And here's the really crucial part. The historical record has plenty of evidence to back up both sides. So, was he a visionary who spread culture, or a tyrant who destroyed it? Did he unite the East and West, or did he just crush the East under his heel? Was he a military genius, or was he just a guy driven by an insatiable lust for power? The craziest part is, the answer to all of those questions might just be both.
When you really boil it down, Alexander is this massive, fundamental paradox. He built a new world, no doubt about it, but he built it on top of the ashes of the one he burned down. He was a force for creation and a force for destruction, sometimes in the very same breath. You can't separate those two sides of his legacy. They're completely intertwined.
And that brings us right back to where we started. But this time, the question is really for you. How should we remember a figure like Alexander the Great? Is it possible to celebrate the world he created without also acknowledging the world he destroyed to make it happen? That's the incredibly complicated and honestly uncomfortable question that his legacy forces us to confront.